All right, back with another question of the day. Today we are talking dark horse Super Bowl contenders. It should be an interesting one, I think. Your question for tomorrow, kind of just doing the opposite. We're going to go with what are teams you think will have disappointing 2022 seasons? Teams that have high expectations, but you don't think will reach those expectations, and give me a 1 to 2 sentence explanation as to why, and I might include it in the next video. But for today, let's talk about teams that might surprise some people and go all the way to the Super Bowl. First up, the Browns. They have their quarterback of the future now, and if he performs like he has in the past, a deep playoff run is not out of the question. Yeah, I think this is a good choice. I mean, again, I think the only real question is, are they considered dark horses? Because, they're not teams that they're not a team that people are saying has no chance of getting to the Super Bowl, right? But still, according to CBS.com, they have the 10th highest odds of getting to the Super Bowl, and I think you could argue it should be higher than that. They're actually, they have this, tied for 9th, actually. It's tied with the Dallas Cowboys. Feels like they should be higher than the Dallas Cowboys. I think one real thing that's hurting them is just, what are we going to see with Deshaun Watson? Will Deshaun Watson even play this year? That's kind of the question, because if he is going to be out, then I think it's probably fair to say that they're no longer contenders. But assuming he's playing, or at least playing a good chunk of the season, because if he comes in halfway through the season, maybe Brissett can keep things afloat. He can get into the playoffs. A deep playoff run is not out of the question. I agree. We also have dark horse Super Bowl contender Steelers. Fixed offensive line, improved wide receivers, got a quarterback that can avoid the first tackler. I see them going way farther than others do. Also, another person saying Steelers going to the Super Bowl. Seriously, between this and Raiders, Mike Tomlin can go to the playoffs with a zombie Ben and Mason. I think they can do well with Kenny and Mitch. They just need to beef up the secondary and O-line a bit more. Raiders feel close to complete, and I can see them trying for a push. I agree with the Raiders. Not a lot of people said Raiders, which I was surprised by, because usually everyone talks about Raiders no matter what video I'm talking about. It could be, about Mitchell Trubisky, and people will be talking about the Raiders for whatever reason. But sticking with the Steelers a little bit, just continuing that trend, I just am not as high on the Steelers as other people were. Yes, they made the playoffs last year, but I think you can kind of get into some traps when you view last year's team as a projection of what next year's team could be. I don't think they were really a playoff team last year. They were just a team that won enough games to get into the playoffs, largely through great coaching, which they'll still have next year. But I still think there's real issues on that team. You look at a lot of their advanced numbers last year, they were kind of overrated last year. They just kind of got some breaks to win some games, which, hey, that's football. It happens. I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm just not going to predict them to, if that exact team played this year, I wouldn't be predicting that team to make the playoffs. So while they should have upgrades at the quarterback position, we assume Kenny Pickett or even Mitchell Trubisky would be an upgrade, I still don't know how, relying on a rookie quarterback or Mitchell Trubisky, I don't know how much of an upgrade that is. It's mostly an upgrade because you had a bad quarterback to begin with. There still are some offensive line issues, like you said. Still are some secondary issues, like you said. But again, it's Mike Tomlin. They'll certainly, he'll drag them to 500 no matter what. We also have another AFC North team. 3 AFC North teams make this video, and the 4th one just made the Super Bowl last year. But this one is the Baltimore Ravens. They were 8-3 with a depleted backfield and secondary prior to Lamar being injured. They will bolster up the wide receiver in some way, shape, or form, and Lamar has proven he can win without a superstar receiver. The defense will be more stout with the return of Marlon and Marcus Peters. Our offense will be better as well with the return of our main 2 running backs. Yeah, I mean, the Ravens are a good choice, I think, as well. They're a team that definitely, I thought, had a really good draft. I did. They're another team that I'm a little surprised to see a little bit lower on the odds list. They are tied for 11th highest odds to win the Super Bowl, which I would have had them a little bit higher, I think, maybe. But again, you look at the teams ahead of them, I guess I get it. But I think the Ravens are definitely a team that has a good chance. They were really banged up last year in a weird way that kind of helped them because it allowed them to get more draft capital, which could be better for this year. You saw that with the 49ers, who, lost Jimmy Garoppolo, which, say what you want about him. They lost Jimmy Garoppolo for the season, were able to draft Nick Bosa, who was a big part of them going to the Super Bowl the following year. I do think that the Ravens are a good team. I don't like I said, I don't really care about their record last year, because again, there's some fluky stuff that goes into that, but they're still a very good team, and I think that, again, having your star quarterback, whatever, however you feel about him, you can certainly agree he's very good. Just having him back and having your entire secondary back should just make things easier. Gotta be the Saints and the Ravens. Saints looked great before Jameis' injury, and now his receiving core is greatly improved. Sure, losing Armstead hurts, but they've made a lot of improvements in other areas. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Also, the commentator would go on to talk about the Ravens in more detail, but we just talked about them. So sticking with just the Saints stuff, yeah, I think I agree. And they did draft an offensive lineman in the first round to try and replace Armstead. So I think they'll be good. Like, their defense was maybe the best in football last year. It was fantastic, and I don't see why that would get worse in any way. And their offense should get better. You know, listen, say what you want about guys like Jarvis Landry and Chris Olave, but they're certainly better than what they have. And if they hit and if they work out, if Landry does return to what we saw him play 2 years ago, if Olave does become the guy that the Saints think that they're getting when they draft him, this could be an awesome receiving core if Michael Thomas does, come back and play his form. Now, there's a lot of ifs, but listen, you need things to go your way to win a Super Bowl. So for a dark horse Super Bowl contender, sure, I certainly see the reason. And again, they're 20th in Super Bowl odds, so if you like that, maybe take a flyer, put $10 on that and see how it works out. Here's a fun one. This sounds weird, but other than my Raiders, I'd say that the Detroit Lions and New York Jets are both dark horse contenders, or at least will make noise, which is probably a more realistic thing. Both Detroit and New York have a great offseason and plenty of young talent with fresh coaches. The Brady-Belichick era is over in the AFC East, and the Packers only have a few years left of NFC North supremacy. At the very least, I think these two teams can make noise and become future contenders. I mean, listen, I don't know if the AFC East is getting that much easier with the Bills now. It's getting a little easier because, anything is easier than that dynasty that the Patriots had. But, you still got good teams, and the Packers, I think, will still be good. This is a fascinating one because, if we're talking dark horse contenders, I just don't know if they're there yet. Like, I have a hard time seeing a $30 million Jared Goff getting to a Super Bowl. Yes, he got there when he was getting paid nothing with a rookie deal in a perfect situation. There's still a lot of holes to this Lions roster. I agree that they could make some noise, and I agree that they're on to up and up, but I think they're more than a year. I don't think this is the year. I think they're still a year away. The Jets are fascinating. The way the Jets would work would really be if Zach Wilson, just plays amazing, right? If he has that second-year jump where he looks awesome and is like an MVP candidate and lives up to all of his potential, then I could see a scenario like that happening. So that one's kind of interesting. And hey, if you believe in the Jets, they currently have the second lowest odds to win the Super Bowl. So if you think they have a chance, this might be the way to do it. You bet $100, you would win $15,000 if they win the Super Bowl, according to CBS. So hey, maybe that's worth taking a flyer on. We also have, now I feel like the Eagles are going to make a good run for the Super Bowl. I don't feel like A.J. Brown was the answer completely, but adding him definitely gives Hurts another option to Goddard and Smith. The defense is only better than it was last year. I feel like they'll make a good run, and as an Eagles fan, I feel they'll go all the way. I think another good choice here. Again, 17th in Super Bowl odds. They are a team that maybe has a chance. I can see the logic behind it, right? The main thing is they have a quarterback on a rookie deal, which is just, it allows you to be able to go out and get an A.J. Brown who can, I think he'll do a lot. I actually do think that adds a lot. And not just that, but after I made this video, and asked this question, this morning, James Bradberry signs with the Eagles, which now I think only adds to the odds of them being able to be good. It's not saying I think they will win the Super Bowl, but could I see it as a dark horse contender if everything goes right? Hurts takes another step up? Sure, I could see it. Our Vikings O will be awesome with Kirk and his crew coming back. Addition of Irv Smith, young receivers will be good, and a 3-4 running back in the draft. Also, Irv Smith Jr. coming back. Yeah, we got it. I think typo there. Only question is depth at corner, but our corner play was bad last year, so as long as it improves, the chance for us to make a deep playoff run is there. Last year, we could play with anyone all year. Our D lacked in all the losses, but with Danielle Hunter back and others helping the D get faster and just better, I think Minnesota could be a very, very good dominant team. playing with their leads. Yeah, I could see this as well. I think the Vikings are a team that was probably better than they seemed last year. I think they had more talent than the average person realized when it came to Minnesota. I think that, I thought the coaching could have done a better job of opening up the offense a little bit more, letting the passing game be the feature of the offense instead of the running game. I think that would have been more smart. I think it's still fair to have some concerns about that defense, though, and that's kind of they have some stars, but depth just across the board defensively, it's a concern I have, and I think it's a fair concern to get. Now, one thing that they did was they got a lot of picks in this draft, so maybe some of those guys will hit, but with a new general manager, I think they might still be a year away, but I do get the logic behind it. And finally, Cardinals are an easy dark horse Super Bowl team. They're bringing back basically the same exact roster, and they've added depth at every position. And I think people underrate how much of an impact JJ made on our defense when he was healthy. Our defense was top 10, and we still have star players all over the board and some promising rookies. Again, another team like kind of similar. I think the Cardinals are a team that could use some depth defensively for sure, and I still haven't gone through each of these teams and done my full previews yet where I'll get really in depth about all this stuff, but I think that you could definitely have some complaints about depth, because last year big issue was when they lost some of their stars, they really struggled, and football is the war of attrition. You're going to lose some stars. You have to be able to overcome that. And when they lost Hopkins, their offense did not look the same. They won't have Hopkins for the beginning of this year, but it's better to not have Hopkins at the beginning of the year than the end of the year. And I actually do like this as a take. They're 13th in Super Bowl odds, and I think they probably could be higher than that. Again, it feels weird because you always feel like every team should be higher than where they actually are, but obviously, someone has to be 13th. You can only, if they're higher than 13th, one of the top 12 teams has to come down, so that's why things get weird. But I do feel like they have a decent chance. I think you're right that there's, J.J. Watt did make a big impact on defense. I think that all of their stars made big impacts on defense, and they were really banged up last year. I think that got over, I think that wasn't talked about enough. Kyler Murray to DeAndre Hopkins is one of the best quarterback to wide receiver combinations in football right now. So that alone can give you a great chance, and Kyler could still get better. He's still very young. So again, not saying that they will win the Super Bowl, but can I paint the narrative? Yeah, I can paint the narrative. So yeah, that's my list. Those are the teams that are dark horse Super Bowl contenders according to you. I said my list. It's not my list. It's your list. That is your list of teams that could be dark horse Super Bowl contenders, and then my thoughts on your thoughts. Now we will go over to the other side, the more negative stuff, which is also fun, although it gets people a lot more angry, so which is also kind of fun. So tomorrow, again, like I said, make sure you get your comments in for the questions of which teams will not live up to expectations next year. Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.